Man, screw Samus. Wait, is that a good way to start this video essay? Yes.
It's the children who are wrong.
Let me add some context. Why? Why screw Samus? Well, because when we hear about early female video game protagonists, it's always Samus I hear about. And yeah, I get it, but no, I don't. Why? Because when playing through Super Metroid in 1994, I didn't even know she was female, till the end credits. I was appalled, I felt tricked. All this time I thought I'd been playing, not a woman, but a really cool, powerful robot. How can you be considered a feminist gaming icon when it's not even apparent you are a woman? So, some real bravery is required. Your real feminist icon has to be breaking into this male-dominated industry early and be obviously female, and not cosplaying as a clanker. And she has to be the star of her own game, not a co-star. Sorry, Blaze. And not designed to draw the male gaze. Sorry, Lara. So, with that exhaustive list of caveats, we arrive at the true heroine and feminist icon of video games, and one starring in a real good game too. Alisia Dragoon, and her game is even named after her. Samus's games are named after the nasty little monster she fights. That's like calling Mario Brothers Insignificant Goomba Soldiers. A patently stupid title, which I would probably still play.
I wonder what Goombas taste like.
So in this video I'll replay Alisia Dragoon, that unsung Mega Drive title that I could never finish as a kid, and explore what made it so fascinating for me. Don't you miss the times when the character and background of our video game protagonists could be inferred, rather than excruciatingly exposited through arduous 20-minute cutscenes? I do. Here, all we know about Alisia is that she is brave and has a mystical connection with 4 mythical creatures. There's also 2 whole paragraphs of background in the manual, if you really want to deep dive into the lore. But for now, inference is enough. We don't want to overfeed the imagination. It'll get fat and lazy. The first stage takes place in a cursed forest. How do I know it's cursed? Easy. The insects, God's most infernal creation, have grown to a monstrous size, almost as if their growth has been spurred on by some malignant presence deeper in the woods. Alicia's main form of defense comes in the form of a thunder power. Yeah, I know, it should be lightning, but I'm just sticking to the description given in the manual. This thunder power is a unique mechanic for this type of game. It has reach and it locks on, making the gameplay more about safe positioning and rapid reactions to threats, which initially for me is hard. Alisia Dragoon is one of those games that's burned into my muscle memory, but here it seems faster than it did. Or I'm slower? The cursed forest soon gives way to an imposing stone temple, ancient and riddled with foot soldiers of an evil cult. They are many, but no match for Alisia. In fact, this is a good time to pick up some hidden goodies concealed in the walls of the temple. Man, I can't remember my kids' birthdays, but I remember the locations of dragon power-ups from 42 years ago. Hunter-gatherer functions intact. At the heart of the temple, we find what Alisia is looking for. A giant sinister cocoon, and inside is Baldur. I've never seen his true form, as the furthest I ever got in 1993 was to what I think was like a crashed spaceship level. Sounds cool, no? But here we get the kind of cutscene I can get behind. A couple of sentences of exposition, a piece of cool music, and a challenge presented to us by an egotistical wanker. Who is this guy to say Alisia and I can't survive the journey? He doesn't know us. He rips the still egg-bound Baldur out of the temple roof, causing it to crash down around us. Rubble falls, and Alisia barely escapes with her life. It's here I want to interject and throw a spotlight on this pacing. It's rapid and varied. Halfway through the first stage, we've seen 2 different environments and been introduced briefly, in a cool scene, to our 2 antagonists before being popped out the back of the temple into another environment, temple ruins. With more enemies, no doubt servants of the infernal cult of Baldur. Here in these ruins of the collapsed temple is a very important power-up, It increases the power of Alisia's thunder magic, changing it from cool blue to a scintillating salmon pink. There are more of these in the game, as I remember. How many more and where they all are exactly, I'm not sure. Though I do think they are important to find to remain efficient in later levels. The bosses here at the end are 2 high-ranking magicians, and not a problem to defeat, especially if you have Dragon Fry out. And what is Dragon Fry, you ask? Well, Dragon Fry is a name, and not for a recipe from Breath of the Wild. It's one of Alisia's companions. He's the most classical European-style dragon of the 4. You see, Alisia's pets are this game's power-ups. They can be improved via limited and hidden pickups and have distinct capabilities. Dragon Fry, for example, shoots a powerful projectile forward, but takes his sweet time charging up the next. But they are powerful, and you can pick the target, as long as he's facing the right direction. Speaking of bosses, I had a little trouble with King of the Swamp Stage 2. I appreciate once again the diversity of enemies and environments. Here in the swamp, enemies cheese chunks off your health by hiding in the water and leaping out at the worst possible time. Halfway through the level, we get teased with a thematic twist as soldiers of Baldur descend from the sky on what appears to be advanced technology. These floating platforms foreshadow a lore reveal that would pique the interest of any teenage boy in the 90s, and I was certainly no exception. My knowledge of power-up locations causes me to get a little smug, and when the eldritch wind starts to whip the clouds on the horizon to unnatural speeds, my confidence remains high, but... this is harder than I remember. I lost too much health on his popcorn breath attack. And... Oh yeah, I remember this. One of my favourite features. Alisia Dragoon has a unique scoring system. Instead of faceless numbers, it uses evocative 2-word titles like Goblin Magician. Ew. I'm sure I used to be better at this game. Yes, definitely better. I obviously never tried to do this as a kid, but what's the worst rating you can get in Alisia Dragoon? Let's do a little science. I mean, for this little experiment, all we have to do is make sure Alisia fails in her preordained quest to save the world, and dies to some random bugs on the first level. Okay, it's actually harder to die to bees than I thought. But worth it to achieve the rank of Micro Bee Master. I'm hardly their master, am I? More their lowly victim. I eventually mastered the popcorn breath attack, thanks to this convenient tuft of grass. With the King of the Swamp finally boiling in his own filth, the sky begins to clear, and Alisia climbs a nearby hill. There, she discovers it, the thing that every 90s game needed to be cool, an airship. Due to the prevalence of many smaller, tougher enemies here, I favoured Thunder Raven as my Pokemon of choice. Called Raven, despite his look being distinctly that of a feathered wyvern or perhaps a chicken. Eagle? He has a smart bomb effect that goes off whenever the energy orbiting him builds to a critical mass. It hits everything and one-shots weaker enemies. I give him 3 out of 5 dragon eggs as an effective companion. More of a generalist than Dragon Fry, and not as cool looking. I'm getting turkey vibes. The airship level is short and has interesting theming. It's a hybrid of technological and biological processes. The ship itself possesses eyes and a mouth. A mouth. What does an airship eat? Oh, this is making me think of that movie, Nope. No good. Can't think of the title. On this living airship, Alisia plays the part of an invading virus, fending off its macro-immune system. An immune system that features suicide bombers that grab hold of you and then detonate. And a weird boss that could only be the brain of the airship. Thunder Raven works especially well here, allowing you to concentrate on dodging while his smart bomb fries the disparate parts of the airship's brain. Of course, rendering an airship brain dead as the passenger comes with consequences. The damn thing falls out of the sky, but its descent is gentle and allows us to land on Stage 4 is a wild cliffside biome, a remote and dangerous region, where the food chain is demonstrably vicious, with Alisia at the bottom of it. It's interestingly structured. It has an optional bottom level of burrowing centipedes guarding power-ups. The whole level has a fun, ascending design as it winds back and forth, and here is as good as any other point to bring up the soundtrack. It's easily the MVP of the experience. Well, this and the lore, or the lore that's hinted at. At once mysterious and adventurous, the soundtrack has just a smidge of whimsy, at least until the boss music kicks in. And, speaking of boss music, as we reach the summit of the level, it does kick in, accompanied by a horrific shriek. An abomination drops into view, a biological bastardization of the dragon's form, probably conceived in some vile vat in Baldur's castle. This boss gave me a little bit of grief too. Alisia is none too agile. The feature she's missing most is the drop through the platform move. But don't let that obfuscate the fact that I am an impatient gamer, more concerned with feels and vibes than precision and practice. With a little help from Dragonfry, this flying sack of viscera and hate eventually gets his head blown off.
Me?
It's at this point I ask myself, who made this? And did they make anything else? I mean, for a Mega Drive title, this is fairly high quality, great art, amazing tunes, and I feel that the game world is so much larger than what is presented. In presentation terms, it's easily comparable to more famous Mega Drive titles like Revenge of Shinobi and Castle of Illusion, but never widely remembered. So looking at the intro, we have two companies I've never heard of, Gainax and Game Arts, and they are two companies with very different paths. Game Arts are a workhorse studio that had their roots in the NES and MSX era, with such games as Thexter? Is that like Dexter but with a lisp? Never heard of it. Some primitive run and go... wait a minute. Looks like Thexter has a homing laser, suspiciously similar to Alisia's thunder magic. Is this like in my New Zealand story video where I go back and discover the game I'm covering has some forgotten ancestor? Okay, stop the edit. I must play Thexter. And yes, after half an hour of the most confusing emulation of my life, I can confirm that, just like Alisia, Thexter has a homing beam weapon. It could also turn into a spaceship. An ability sadly lost to Alisia though. It does make me wonder if the original intention was that she could turn into a dragon and emulate Thexter even closer. Beyond this interesting start and their adventure with Alisia, Game Arts is primarily known for the beloved retro RPG Grandia, in which they seem to have settled into providing that one experience over and over and over again in shinier HD forms until the original audience dies off. They are still running today, doing exactly that. Gainax, on the other hand, never seemed to do anything safe. A legendary animation studio that seemed to enjoy thumbing their nose at convention, they were mostly famous for Neon Genesis Evangelion.
No thanks, bro.
Evangelion, a deconstruction of mech anime, brave, and very, very lucrative. They kept making brave artistic choices till financial mismanagement killed them off. I'm certain that Gainax's involvement resulted in this lovely box art for Alisia Dragoon in Japan. Why on earth it was swapped out for the European release is beyond me. I guess we Westerners are allergic to good design and need a Conan archetype on our video game covers to understand the context. For stage 5, Alisia heads into dark caverns, home to these amazing waterfalls. And oh no, what is this? Is this a hole? Viewers of my previous videos may know my aversion to holes. I have been victimized by their kind many times before, specifically in eSWAT and Revenge of Shinobi, and so far Alisia has not had any of this hole business. I'm enjoying the nice hole-free gameplay. Only one way to find out. Oh yes, automatic 10 out of 10 game. Game of the year, certified, hole-free. The caves introduce a new slew of enemies, ones that are hard to avoid given the cramped conditions. Mole men appear. At first, small and insignificant, they become quite imposing. The boss of this cavern stage is particularly interesting. You must fight it in this cave, with one side open to a vast space, with something glowing in its depths. The boss is another piece of advanced technology, well, kind of advanced. It has wheels and it shoots these things. Nevertheless, it is still mysterious advanced tech. Where did it come from? You'll find out when you defeat it with the help of these convenient rock ledges here. I'm noticing most of the bosses have these ledges, perhaps to counter Alisia's lack of agility. The boss, when overcharged, explodes in a side cave with this charming comical effect. Then there is an increased glow from the space behind this cave. A massive alien craft makes its presence known. The sound of its generators and systems powering up fills the cavern. It's a cool moment for the lore. The potent world served up with this game's delicious soundscape remains as captivating as ever. In fact, the lore seems so confident that I did wonder if it existed as an IP in other media. And it doesn't. Sad, but also great, because in this age of IP mining and nothing being left to the imagination, a world with depths unplumbed is a rarity, a gem. Fascinating in its detail, with scope that only exists in potential. Although 16-year-old me would have absolutely flipped out over an Alisia Dragoon anime series, with a cool intro. This next level is the one I never surpassed as a lad. I wonder why. Difficulty scaling in Alisia Dragoon seems to deal with its OP protagonist by surprising you with fast enemies or ones that appear literally out of nowhere. And here in this level it reaches peak BS, which is a shame because this level is cool. Of course the music is on point, but this crashed alien ship aesthetic with their diagonal skewed layout is interesting, but the enemy spawns and their rapid fire capability is quite infuriating. Sadly, we must also bring up how my favourite dragon Guy becomes an intense liability on this level. Boomerang Lizard pretty much does what it says on the tin. He's a lizard. He's got boomerangs. These boomerangs have range. They are fast. They do decent damage. He is also the cutest of Alisia's pet and has a small hitbox. So it doesn't matter how cute he is, he's not getting hit much. He's normally my go-to dragoon, but on this level he's a huge hindrance. It took me a while to realise too. You see there's this unexploded ordnance all over the ship, missiles, piles of them, and when hit they send out screen-wide explosions in lots of directions. I mean, these are some maxed out Bomberman explosions here. Screen covering, screen wide, and poor old Boomerang Lizard targets them from off screen, which led to me losing chunks of health many times before I understood my main guy was letting me down. As you delve deeper into the ship, the music loses its air of mystery and grandeur. And the BS peaks harder. The enemies now spawn in rapidly and in great numbers. And despite improving my thunder magic, again, they always seem to get a few hits in. these subspace zombies and... wait, what's that? A jumbo-sized atom, maybe? They wage a war of attrition against my health bar. My only tactic now seems to be to creep forward, waiting for my Thunder Smart Bomb to charge up and hopefully clear the screen of any unexpected apparitions. Then, just as I begin to lose hope, the enemy spawns die down, and Alisia heads through a conduit into the core of the ship where its long-dead commander lurks. The core powers up, lending its energy to this intergalactic ghoul. And it's not a bad fight. The angle of the room makes for interesting movement, and if you stay on your toes you can wear him down easily enough. My headcanon is that this crashed alien ship was infiltrated by Baldur's cult, who stole its tech for their own nefarious ends. Floating platforms and such, biomechanical airships, all the things a functioning technomancy needs. Of course the crew couldn't do anything about this. You see, their experimental spaceship crashed into the surface of Alisia's planet, its experimental engine causing a horrific subspace effect, pictured here. This desecration of their craft caused the crew to be enraged, and of course, when Alisia turns up, they assume the worst. She is a tomb robber as well. It's all very sad if you think about it. The commander crashes and burns, gets sucked into his own engine core, leaving Alisia to make a mad dash for safety, leading to this epic cutscene, where against a backdrop of awesome parallax scrolling clouds and lightning flashes, Alisia ascends to the castle in the sky and toward her destiny. Of course this dark techno-magician and simp for Baldur lives in a flying castle. This is a Japanese game from the 90s, living, as we all did back then, in the shadow of Laputa Castle in the Sky, that monumental work of imagination by Studio Ghibli. Yeah, I said it like that. That's the sound a G makes. Come at me in the comments. I'm curious about what trials await here. The punitive design of the previous stage has me worried, but at the same time, Alisia Dragoon always scores with cool tunes, set pieces and new enemies, and this is its final stage. And sadly, this is where Alisia's 4 megabits of memory fails us. As the programmers of this little cartridge that could ran out of memory. I've seen these slime guys before. Weren't they on stage 1? And these magicians too. Hey, I'm a retro guy. I know these games always outpace available memory and had to recycle sprites. I've seen 15 different colours of Galcia from Streets of Rage. I just hoped Alisia would end before the recycling began. And on the final level too. This castle is also a little generic, until you get past the mid-boss, another priest of Baldur, who is easily rendered impotent by swiftly walking back and forth. Beyond him the castle becomes very tech-flavoured, metallic and filled with robotic drones who drift back and forth through this empty space, filled with these bastard pyramid platforms. As mentioned before, I'm not the type of gamer who draws his identity from such petty things as skill or mastery. I'm here for vibes, and this stage is harshing my vibes. The way these platforms just lazily cease to be platforms, dropping Alisia back to the ground is infuriating, and very close to hole-based gameplay. This area is almost as infuriating as the last stage of New Zealand Story, but is nothing compared to what is to come. You see, all of a sudden, Alisia decides to become hardcore. The last 2 bosses actually require learning. Right at the end of the game too. Pattern memorization right here. Localized entirely in the last part of the game. I think I spent more time here learning these 2 bosses than in the rest of the game combined. For days. As I would practice for an hour or so before getting peed off and avoiding it for another day. Baldur was the worst. His lieutenant at least beforehand was harsh but fair, with fast but predictable attacks. Even though these ground waves required use of a light skip jump, which is needed nowhere else in the entire game. I also figured out he was best dispatched without the aid of any dragon too. Dragon. What am I forgetting? Oh yeah. And it's not even a real dragon. Ball o' Fire. Stupid name, stupid premise. I think he could be used to block bullets, but he's so small and impossible to maneuver that I never bothered. Zero use case. Feel sorry for him, but not enough that I ever deployed him. Well, that's a lie. When Baldur finally hatched, perhaps a little early, he looks undercooked. I did call out Ball of Fire in the hope that he would block some of the many projectiles that spew out of Baldur with little rhyme or reason. But he wasn't useful at all. I've got hours of footage of me practicing this fight. It's rough. Imagine if in 1992 I'd actually got here, I would have been so dismayed. Facing a boss this difficult after a solid 40 minutes of replaying the 7 stages over and over again. It seems I saw the best of what Alisia Dragoon had to offer all those years ago. So after a few hours of practice, thank God for modern emulation and save states, I finally rid the world of the curse of Baldur. His second stage held me up the most. And as his grotesque form, his incomplete mockery of life that was built for him overloads with thunder magic, causing the corpulence to burst and ooze out of him, I suddenly realise Alicia's gone and done it again, destroyed the source of power that's holding her up miles in the air. The castle begins to descend and collapse around her. She falls peacefully, as if this fate was a price she decided to pay before her journey even began. The dragoons appear, and enhanced Super Saiyan form too, or perhaps more like Super, like when Sonic got all the emeralds, and they encase Alisia in a glowing energy and lower her back to the ground safely, where we get a peaceful flyby of all the lands we have liberated, all to a glowing remix of the main theme. And at the end of it all, a fine welcome from the citizens of, well, somewhere, and the king of, well, someplace. It's nice to be appreciated though, wherever we are, and whoever they are. And so concludes the story of an unknown world, totally. There will never be multiple HD remakes of Alisia Dragoon, like Grandia had. No shiny cool sequel like Streets of Rage got. The world of Alisia Dragoon exists only in the minds of its players. Its details unknown, but its spirit totally realised by the players who have experienced it. You know who you are. Ogre Shaman, moving up in the world.